Welcome back to the postcast following a 5-3 Ottawa Senators loss to the New York Islanders. Now a weekend without Sens hockey, because why wouldn't they get an extra day off again? Next up, the Florida Panthers coming to town, and they're coming in hot. I know that they've lost their last couple games. They'll be hungry. It's a battle of the Kachucks again, the Kachuk suite. Everyone's already gathered. The family's ready.
Oh, yeah.
The Panthers are ready. I don't know if the Sens are ready, though. We'll find out Monday, but a tough way to head into the weekend with the Senators on the wrong side of a 5-3 result and really just a disappointing game from the second period on. But however, there are SENSCENTRAL standouts, and with that, Pilsy, you got yours in first. Who are you going with for your first one?
All right. Well, Tim Stützle coming back from that highlight reel goal over in Europe. I thought he played a great game today. He finishes off with 2 points, a goal, and an assist. And he had a +2 night, 6 shots on goal, over 21 minutes played. He had a great Corsi numbers tonight. And then at the end of the game, Josh Norris goes for that cross ice backdoor pass for Timmy, but Varlamov got the pad save on it. He draws that penalty up against Barzal. I just thought this was a game where Timmy wasn't trying to do too much. He was just kind of using his skill in the right spots. And there was even one moment, I forget when it was, but we got our guy, John Abbott. We got him to use a Timmy Superstar reference. So, so you got Timmy having a good night when the Superstar reference pops out there.
Absolutely love that. Always a beauty, always a friend of the show, Johnny Abbott. And I agree with you. I thought Timmy was dancing tonight. I thought his wingers did a lot, though, to open up space for him. I thought everyone was kind of forechecking on that line. Definitely, for my money, the Sens' best forward group tonight. And let's see if the numbers reflect that. They're the only line that played over 10 minutes together. They played 13 minutes and 28 seconds together at 5-on-5. Had 20 shot attempts for and only 10 against. And we're out there for 1 goal for and none against. So the numbers back that up at 5-on-5, Pilsy, that Tim Stützle was a player to be reckoned with in tonight's game.
Yeah, he was awesome tonight, Pilsy. I like that pick from you a lot. And Ross, if you don't mind, I'm just going to jump right into mine here. And for me, it's Drake Batherson. And I mean, we're going to call it low-hanging fruit here. 2 goals, boys. The first one being on the power play on that nice little tic-tac-toe play. And then the second one was another nice, really, really nice touch play, I thought, by Tim Stützle and Matthew Joseph off the forecheck there, finding him in the slot. And that's kind of where Drake Batherson's always going to be effective, right? Get him in that open space and let him either rip it or make a nice move to make a play. So I think Drake played his game tonight, and I've been a little critical of him over the course of the beginning of the season here. So for me, Drake Batherson is an easy choice. He had 4 shots on goal. He had 17:46 time on ice. And he came out of the night even. So we'll give Drake my standout here tonight. He also took a couple faceoffs and he won one of them. So 50%. 50% in the dot, too.
There you go. I mean, he could have even had more. He had 3 shots that missed the net and one that was blocked as well. So
yeah, and that one was a really great glove save there, too, by Varlamov, where he made a great glove save near the end of the game. It could have been a hat trick. So Drake had a good game tonight.
Yeah, and he kept his shift short, averaging 46 seconds per shift. That's good for him, and had a couple defensive plays, some created turnovers, which is good to see him on the positive side of that. So I like those picks. However, I'm going to go with a guy who's probably been a standout, I'd say the most, give or take, so far this season, and that's Matthew Joseph. 2 assists in this one, +2, had that shot on goal and 1 hit. But what I really like about Joseph's game tonight is the forechecking ability. We saw him create the turnover that led to Batherson's second goal of the game because he got the puck out, and then the little back and forth with, was it Timmy or Batherson? I think it was, it was Batherson's goal that he got it out to Timmy, a little back and forth. And I just thought he had a great game. He's always kind of tenacious and hungry, and he plays better with better players. So I love that line the way it is. And I could have given this just as easily, I think, to Claude Giroux. I think both those guys helped Timmy. They just need to get that other line going. And we saw Drake Batherson was put onto that line in the third period because it did not look pretty with Josh Norris and Brady Tkachuk. So I think they've got to figure that out. But at least they've got one line that's clicking, and all year long, it's been the line that Matthew Joseph's on, whether it was with Tarasenko and Greg earlier this season, or now that he's found a home with Timmy and Giroux. So more stick taps to Matthew Joseph. Thank God they didn't trade him earlier in the year.
Yeah, can you imagine the team without him right now? It would be pretty rough. He's the motor for, yeah, you said it, for pretty much every line he ends up being on. So
Played
I
over
like,
20 minutes tonight too. That's big for him.
yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, and
I like,
what I love about Matthew Joseph, he's got it going when he's in on that forecheck. Like he uses that speed, he battles hard. Like the one assist that he had, he just totally outmuscles Brock Nelson, who's a big guy on in his own right, and he outmuscles him, has the wherewithal to get it out front. And I think that's when he went. It was Joseph in the corner to Giroux. Giroux one touch pass to Timmy, and Timmy buried it like that. So that was a really nice play by Matthew Joseph, and that's what they need. They need guys like that. Like they've got the skilled finishers. You look at Batherson, Norris, Brady, Timmy, Giroux, Tarasenko, Kubalik. They have all these guys that can finish, but if you're not able to have a guy that's willing to grind and work hard in the corners and beat out those loose puck races like Matthew Joseph is, those guys aren't going to get their opportunities. So Matthew Joseph, definitely an unsung hero that deserves some credit here.
And he's finally getting the ice time that's matching the quality of his play. In his last 6 games, 5 of those, he has his 5 highest ice times so far this season. His last 3 games, the only 3 games he's played over 20 minutes. He played 20:08 against Detroit, 21:11 against Minnesota, and then tonight he comes in with a performance with 20 minutes and 3 seconds. So good to see him rewarded for what's been solid play so far this season. Boys, before we wrap up here, a 5-3 Senators loss to the New York Islanders. I have to get into this line a little bit more with Norris and Tkachuk, and whether you want to call it Tarasenko or Batherson. It's more Josh Norris I want to talk about, because defensively, 2 turnovers tonight that end up in the back of your net. And then what's going on with the power play? Because he's being teed up. Jake Sanderson was making it very clear in the third period that he was supposed to shoot the puck, but he kept just either giving it back or stopping and looking around and saying, what am I going to do with it? Who's going to go tell him that he scored 35 goals 2 years ago and 85% of them were on one-timers? It's getting really concerning.
Yeah, I mean, part of it, Ross, I think we do need to acknowledge that teams have the scouting report on that now, and they are doing a lot better job of at least getting in lanes and creating a tighter gap towards Norris on the power play for that one-timer. But like you mentioned, there was a couple times where Sanderson was clearly opening up to feed him that pass back, and he's just not really getting in the right spot. He's not getting the right body position, and he's hesitating on the trigger. Whereas, like, dude, you got that trigger like that. Like, don't hesitate. This power play, like, you're kind of the number one option there, Josh Norris on that side. Sanderson's doing everything he can to get it to you, and it just wasn't working. And then there's one instance, though, Ross, where I wish he had hesitated. It was on that Barzell slashing penalty on Timmy. One of the Islanders players broke their stick. So right now you're thinking, okay, you got an extra man advantage now. It's basically a 5-on-3. And Norris just out of nowhere just wires one that goes up and out of play and completely kills the momentum. I was like, oh, man, like, that's one time where you got to be aware of the situation and slow it down, get these guys' legs moving, keep them tired on the ice. And he just wastes one up above the netting.
Yeah, man, I hate to say it like it, but I'm pretty sure it all goes back to that shoulder injury and just him not being fully confident yet. And there was a lot of talk like about, possibly there being a mental aspect to him not coming back at the very beginning of the season too. And I don't know if that's part of it or what it is, but there's definitely a level of hesitation happening there. And then, I mean, he was pretty used to Thomas Chabot being the guy. He was the guy teeing him up on those power plays too. So I'm not sure if Sanderson's passes are just coming off a little different. He needs to adjust for that. But like, maybe boys just go to the shooting gallery and like take a bunch of practice time and figure that out, because we need him to be able to score in the power play. And that was another thing that we mentioned tonight where, they only scored on the first one. They had 3 opportunities. It would have been nice to maybe see them get at least another one there.
The first one was nasty, though. Batherson, little bumper play from Tkachuk. Passing play started with Timmy, goes to Norris. Norris ultimately gets the secondary assist on that. But man, he's got to just got to pull trigger a little bit quicker. So hopefully Monday he'll have that opportunity against the Florida Panthers.
It's not just the power play too, right? Though Ross, like I don't know if you're noticing it. It's like at 5-on-5, he's less effective than he used to be. He used to be jumping into the corners and using his athleticism to get in there and get a little more gritty. I find he's lost a lot of sandpaper this season.
6 missed shots tonight, 2 that actually missed and 4 were blocked for Josh Norris. He did have 4 shots on goal in this one as well. So that's something we're going to be watching for on Monday night. We'll have another edition of Locked On Senators on Monday as well before another critical divisional game against the Florida Panthers. The Panthers were on quite the streak, and now after one loss the other night, then the Jets shut them out 3-0 tonight at home. So the Panthers now coming to Ottawa following a 3-game homestand. I'm going to be very interested to see how this team gets either out of this funk or digs themselves even deeper. Pilsy, any final thoughts on this postcast?
Well, talking about the Panthers, Ross, I'm looking right now. The Jets beat them 3-0. So that'll be interesting to see how the Panthers respond to that, getting shut out, especially like you mentioned, the whole Tkachuk family will be in attendance in Ottawa. So
they're already here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, they're already here. They're ready for this matchup between the Tkachuk brothers. I don't know if you guys know Brady and Matthew. They're brothers. They play hockey against each other. That could be a storyline that we might get into.
No, I think we should get into a different storyline. Martian, my final question for you is, what do you do until Ridley Gregg and Mark Kastelik are back? Because Roby Arventi, 7 minutes tonight, just 12 shifts. And on 2 of those shifts, the puck ended up in the back of their own net. So I think it's been a nice little sample size here. I think I brought it up even going into this game where it's like he's not maintaining, a top 9 position. That line just hasn't been as effective with Roby Arventi on it. Is it time to maybe reach into the Belleville pool, or do you just ride it out until those guys get back? And even then, like, is Kastelik that much of an upgrade? Like, not as a third line center.
Yeah, I mean, who's there? Who are they going to bring up to play center?
Well, what I'm worried happens here. Sorry, Martian, I'll let you get back in. But what I'm worried happens here is Rourke Chartier is this version's Dylan Gambrell, where Rourke Chartier is going to end up playing a lot of time at third line center, and it's like, okay, here we go again.
Yeah, I feel you there. Like, I mean, they're just kind of out of depth options really for it, right? Like, what else are they going to do? They need a guy who's going to possibly have some offensive pop, but clearly he's not getting it done on the other side of the puck. So the coach doesn't trust him. He's not getting any ice time. So, I mean, there's not a lot you can do. It's not ideal. It's not perfect.
It's not great. Not great too when your third line center takes 3 faceoffs in a game, and you mentioned it too, Pillsy. Like Timmy didn't take a single faceoff tonight.
Yeah, that's got to be the first time since he's moved to center that he hasn't taken a single draw. That's so weird.
Like, should we be concerned? Like, he did have a maintenance day the other day. Like, is that not a bit peculiar?
It is definitely peculiar,
yeah,
but
it's not nothing.
He's also has that athletic tape on his back of his neck that he's had going
all year.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what's going on there. I don't know if it's a neck thing or a back thing or just like a muscular thing, but either way, it's, again, like, probably not ideal for him to have to need that every game.
No.
Yeah, and especially that makes me nervous. The only other time I've seen that style of athletic tape was on Josh Norris. And
what, for the 4 games when he came back last year between the rehab and the surgery?
Yeah, and the last thing we need is another centerman that's covered in duct tape.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Want to finish off with a piece of good news? You got anything?
Are we supposed to have good news?
Yeah, I'd really appreciate some right now.
The Sens are 3-1 in their last 4. They got another opportunity to get another point, a couple points on Monday.
4-2.
We don't need to go doom and gloom every game.
No, I don't think we have.
I know we haven't. But the vibes are always bad after a loss, especially after the fans have been waiting for basically a full week for a game. And like, so we've all just been sitting there waiting. And then like, just have to be let down. It's easy to get emotional about it. But I mean, they're only 500 after 16 games too, which is, everybody talks about, 20 games being that sample size that they look at to see if a team is good. They've played less games than a lot of teams in the league, but the American Thanksgiving line has come and gone. And if they say whatever it is, it's 80%, I believe, of teams that are in a playoff spot at
Yep.
American Thanksgiving, make the playoffs. And obviously currently the Sens aren't at that point. So they're going to have to do a bit of a debunk on that stat.
So I don't want to be that guy because we do have games in hand. But they're also 7 points out of a playoff spot already.
Bro, they're last in their division. What are we doing talking about playoff spots?
They're tied for last in the conference. I mean, Columbus has played 5 extra games, but
5 more games. I think they'll be able to win a few of those.
I hope so. I mean, nights like tonight don't make me too confident. The Islanders are a bad team. Like I'm more confident than I was this morning. The Islanders are a bad team.
December is going to be. We're going to know by the end of December what they are.
Yeah, I think you're right, Martian, especially with how many games are being played. And it's not, it's not a cupcake schedule in December.
No.
I'm looking at it now. There are a lot of good teams and not a lot of breaks here. So, and this is the Ottawa Senators have been living at home. I mean, 2 home games in Sweden. That's not their home, but they got a lot of away games in December coming up here.
They'll spin zone that's a good thing until it's not, and then it'll be an excuse when it's a bad thing. Steve G wraps it up just wonderfully here. The Islanders beat us with 4 defensemen in this game tonight. Scott Mayfield played 26 minutes for the first time in his career. I don't even have to fact check that. I can tell you that Scott Mayfield has never played 26 minutes in a National Hockey League game. And he did tonight, and they get the win. I'm sure they're feeling good about themselves while the Senators can sulk and wait until Monday when the Florida Panthers will be coming in. The reigning Eastern Conference champion, Florida Panthers, coming to the CTC on Monday. What could go wrong? We'll discuss on Monday. We'll have a full game day preview. A reminder that the postcast is brought to you by the GLEBE Central Pub, 779 Bank Street, right in the heart of the Glebe. Go visit them online, GLEBECentralPub.com, and go check out the Sens Shuttle for $17 round trip. You can buy those tickets directly, GLEBECentralPub.com, and pop by the Glebe Central Pub for lunch, dinner, drinks, and vibes. For today, we say goodbye. Senators lose 5-3 to the New York Islanders. For Laleem's Martian, for Brandon Pillar, I'm Ross Levitan, and this has been the Postcast presented by the Locked On Senators podcast and the Glebe Central Pub. Have a great weekend, Sens fans. Let's get some Go Sens Go in the chat. Sens lose 5-3, but they've won 4 of their last 5 games. We're a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.